Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only Turbo. Listen, yesterday there were no videos, was dealing with the AC in the house, and had to deal with a few other things as well. But today we are back. We can see there's a nice update from Turbo. The production for the Turbo wallets have officially started. Okay, which means, right, we at least at the bare minimum have sold 300 of these. And when I say we, I just have to clarify, I am literally not affiliated with Turbo at all. Not partner with them, not affiliated, I don't work for them. But when I say we, I mean as a community, because we are Team Turbo. And that is the truth, right? That is the truth, right? So we can see order now equal normal weight, estimated delivery 5 weeks. Okay. And they remain open for new orders. So listen, you never know when this is going to be done, right? And I would really bet a lot of money that there's a high chance it it never comes back. It might come back during the peak of altcoin season or a little before, but this very well may be a limited time thing that they do, which means you are going to be one of the few hundred people in this world to be part of a legacy. Listen, let's talk about price action because I know you guys like the price action. Look, man, Turbo is down over the last few days. And I mean, that was kind of expected, right? That was kind of expected. When was this? 14th, roughly 10 days ago, right? Roughly 10 days ago. I said a very, very big statement. I meant it. And look, ladies and gentlemen, right? We were talking about how we needed a close above this 4-hour candle, right? This one specifically, and you can go back and watch the video, but I said, listen, right, we are currently going up. I remember I was recording a video. I said, when this does go and when this does pump, we need a close above 0.0063, right? We just needed to close above this candle and we didn't. After that, I made a video saying that we did fail, and this does mean that we will be most likely heading to the downside. As you know, there isn't much lifeline, and the only redemption point you could have argued was, we didn't create a lower low yet, right? We're still kind of creating lows here, but we were just struggling overall, right? Some people were not happy that I named the video that way and said, look, it was a little bit, I'm adding a little bit of fear and stuff, but look, it's just the truth, right? Turbo failed to push higher, right? It did. And that just means the reversals, okay? You cannot trick technical analysis. You cannot, you know what? I believe in the Lord. I love my Lord Jesus Christ. But I'm telling you, when it comes to technical analysis, what the data says is what it's going to do, all right? I say this, there's no faith in the markets, okay? There's no nothing. When we saw this close, right? When we saw this close, this was a big indicator that the markets were looking to go lower. And then over time, we were getting more and more confirmation, right? Consistently creating lower highs, lower high, right? We had something here. We could have debated slightly higher than these two, but overall, it was generally just going sideways, right? Then again, it created a double top kind of here, triple top. In fact, when we take this, resistance, and guess what? We broke below this big support. Why? Because we were struggling to go up higher and higher. Okay, but look, we kind of knew this was going to happen. For those that listen, which are about roughly 50% of you watch all the way to the end, which, by the way, applause to all of you people because you are getting the most amount of information and you are going to be, at a peace of mind, right? You're going to be at a peace of mind. We talked about how we expected a correction down to roughly 0.00462, maybe 0.0047, generally this area. And the reason why we expected it is for multiple reasons, okay? Number one, when Turbo pumped heavily on that Sunday and Monday of the 13th and 14th, right, it created this thing called imbalance. So a lack of real support, okay? Number two, the markets do not like that. They do not like that. Number three, I did say I do believe we are in the fundamental stage when it comes to altcoins. I believe altcoins, they are preparing to be generally going up, generally fundamentally, right? Sometimes, yes, there'll be a quick pump, but that quick pump will be very, very, short-lived, which is why I tell you guys, do not get too excited over quick pumps because it is going to just simply backfire and it's going to cause a correction because the markets are looking to generally, just be fundamental because they're looking to really, really explode when altcoin season comes, right? And we can see we were very, very fundamental here. We had a bottom, top, higher bottom, higher high, right? Then we had equal high, but we still had a higher bottom. Then we had a higher high. Then we had a higher low. Then we had a higher high and then higher low. Like it was literally as much of a staircase as possible to the upside. It was super, super fundamental, right? And this was not. And look, man, I'm not shaming it. I mean, that's super cool. Don't get me wrong. I love when Turbo has like a 50% day, 100% day, but I just know the reality as of right now, what that's going to mean over the next, couple of days after that. And we can see we're getting a correction, right? So the reason why we most likely will kind of stop out here on 0.0046 is because we do have, this is when the imbalance finishes. We also do have this 4-hour order block, and we are also going to be on top of a big support. So I really, really expect this to hold, right? I really expect this to hold, especially that we're also very fundamental prior, right? Before that, we were very, very fundamental. So I don't really expect to just kind of sell off aggressively. I would be very, very genuinely surprised. But in terms of structure, in terms of how the markets work, I don't really think that's going to be the case. Now, here's my hot take. I believe this is going to be the week where we get some type of corrections. And then next week, we're going to get decent pumps as well, because I overall think for the month of July, I expect it to be a decent pump at the minimum for a lot of coins, including Turbo. Okay, and the reason why I expect it is because Turbo on the monthly has been very fundamental. We have this low, we have this higher low, we have this high, and I expect a higher high, right? I expect it somewhere closing up a little bit higher. Okay, and we also are on top of this big support. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, we kind of saw this something play out very similar in June, where things were like selling off too aggressively in June, where I was kind of like looking a little dangerous, but then we're like, okay, wait, let's just see how the monthly closes. And then kind of the last week of June, it came really, really clutch, right? So I kind of expect this week to be a little bit bearish just for a pullback. And I expect next week, July, to have some decent pumps so that our monthly candles look good, right? We can see, right now it's looking okay. If it closes like this, technically it could work, but of course we want it a little bit stronger. Now, if I go to like any other coin, right, overall, I believe, these coins are looking to be closing fairly well, right? Even something like XRP, right? XRP, I expect it to close fairly good. And I expect it to close probably higher than $3.03. And why am I talking about XRP? Well, I'm just showing you guys an example of a lot of coins are in very important positions. They are in very important positions, just like Turbo is. So, Turbo is not alone. I believe this is just a pullback for this week. And I believe next week we are going to be seeing some sort of pump, right? I haven't checked this in a damn minute, but I'm curious to see what the global liquidity is at. If we go to something like the weekly, the global liquidity itself is actually kind of rising, right? We can see for global liquidity, we kind of hit a top and then we kind of have this support, but then we also have this higher low, and I kind of expect for these highs to break and for us to kind of keep going with global liquidity, which would look very, very nice. Okay, very, very nice. We still want to see more global liquidity. Now, we haven't really been following this to the T for a while. If we take the top of this, how much is this? 91 days. Okay, so look, the edge, you could debate, right? Because this is the edge. The edges seem to be a little bit more accurate. When you take it from the top and take it here, we had this nice big pump. And then let's see. One, 2, 3, 4. 4 weeks of slowness. According to this, decent pump, retracement, and then more slowness. Man, I don't really know. That just seems too far. If we go like 91 days, you're telling me we're just gonna be stuck in late October? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. See, the global liquidity is very, very weird. I'm personally, you know, I was never, I liked it. I liked it, but I always chose technical analysis first. And the fact that it's inconsistent, it brings its value a little bit down. But yeah, we'll see. We'll monitor. Technical analysis first. Technical analysis is king. But yeah, ultimately that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.